Marie Curie was a Polish and naturalized French physicist and chemist who conducted pioneering research on radioactivity and was born on November 7th, 1867 in Warsaw, Poland.
Up next, many families have their thing. What I mean by that is there are families throughout history that have focused on areas of farming, business, and other works or crafts that people know their family name by. That lifestyle would also apply to Marie Curie's family as well.
Correct. And up next, let's say teaching was in her family DNA. Maria Sklodowska was born to a family of teachers who dedicated their lives to promoting education. Her parents were educators who made sure that the girls were educated as well as their son.
That had to be really cool to have parents that were teachers. Any extra assistance in school, whether it is from a teacher that kept an eye out on me and helped me with my studies, or tutors, is always helpful.
You got that right, Jeremiah. Now, you can't talk about Curie without talking about a move from home and the love of her life. After graduating at the head of her class at the age of 16, Curie went on to a higher education, but also lived in a time where women weren't allowed to go to the University of Warsaw. This led to Curie moving to Paris in 1891.
That part of Marie's story is inspiring because she didn't let a time in history when women were stopped from getting a higher education stop her from her studies. After registering at the Sorbonne in Paris, Maria would make a change to her name. That is where she signed her name as Marie to seem more French.
She wanted to sound fancy. I am not mad at that. But continuing on, when it came to education, Marie worked hard at her studies and was at the top of her class. This helped Marie to secure a scholarship, helping to pay for her classes, where she would go on to complete degrees in physics and mathematical sciences in 1894.
That was amazing how she found another path to education, and this path would also lead her to find love.
You have to be talking about Pierre.
I sure am. You can actually get a laugh out of their story because they were both introduced to each other by a professor, and that is where their love began, in the laboratory. After an initial proposal for marriage from Pierre to Marie, she declined his proposal. Eventually things changed and Pierre and Marie had a civil ceremony. A crazy part about the ceremony was instead of a bridal gown, Marie chose a dark blue laboratory dress where she explained, "I have no dress except the one I wear every day."
Well, whatever it takes, right? Pierre would become both her husband and colleague in the field of radioactivity. If they were around today, you would definitely call the two a power couple because of their research. The reason I say that is the couple would go on to later share the 1903 Nobel Peace Prize in Physics. At first, Marie was not included in the nomination, but when Pierre found out, he argued that his wife should be included, and Marie's name was added, making her the first woman to be awarded a Nobel Peace Prize.
Up next, we have to talk about a tale of sadness, but a story of how Marie would go on to add to her greatness.
Taking a trip back in time to 1906, Marie Curie would lose her husband Pierre. On April 19, 1906, tragedy struck the family when Pierre was killed. He was hit by a horse-drawn vehicle and fell under the wheels.
Marie would go on to take over at Sorbonne and would go on to create a world-class laboratory as a tribute to her late husband and became the first woman professor at the university.
From there, Marie wouldn't stop the research that she and her husband worked on. That is where her hard work would change history. Marie would go on to be the sole winner of the 1911 Nobel Peace Prize for Chemistry. She was the first woman to win a Nobel Peace Prize, and she is the only woman to win the award in 2 different fields.
Sadly, her work with radioactive materials eventually killed Marie Curie when she died of blood disease on July 4, 1934, in France.
And there you have it, sharing amazing facts about historical figures here with FresBerg Cartoon, highlighting the life of Marie Curie.